I will start briefly about the project, and then we pass talking to the translation to film. You already explained a little bit how it started, the idea, but what moved you, what convinced you to get into this journey? You wanted to make deeper your training as an actress, or really wanted to dance?
I didn't know what I wanted. And that was the journey of not knowing, but trying and experiencing something new. And I always liked the movement, because I think as an actress, you're always in touch with movement, in the emotion, in the thoughts, and everything is about movement. So finally, to emphasize this what we live, I wanted to experience it, but I didn't know where we were going, because I've never danced. In Lovers on the Bridge, I moved a little bit in one of the scenes, but he wanted to act, and I thought, okay, let's try something new. And I had believers with me. I had Susan Batson, and I had Suman Siu and Akram. So I think when you're going into a new form of, if you have you're surrounded by believers, it's helping.
Absolutely, and Susan Batson says something very, very important in a certain point of the film, that if you are full, there's no trap, no, and advise you to remember your work as an actress in order to find the movement, and that is what is happening.
Yeah, well, she could see that, but I was still struggling and out of breath behind Akram and not really pulling myself together in order to get there. So yeah, she said that, and I believed her, but I didn't know how to find the way. But her beliefs helped.
And for Akram also, of course, it was a great challenge. And I guess, you also already said that you both had to be very patient to each other and very tolerant, no?
Yeah, well, at the beginning, I don't think we were that. He was more tolerant than I was, I think, because once I really left the studio, I was unhappy, and then I learned to shut my mouth a little bit. But you learn as you're going. I learned to be patient, and his idea to put me on the wall like this. I said yes also because as an actress you want to say yes to any idea. That was not only my training, but my leap of heart, that you want to embody anything that is proposed to you. But then, of course, it was a struggle until it finally worked, but it was a long journey of patience.
Yeah, he said at certain point that fear is a feeling that belongs to dancer, and that you have to embrace also something very interesting. He talks about fear and facing this feeling that I guess you also experience as an actress.
So
he speaks about fear. Mm-hmm.
In the film?
In the film. Huh?
Can't remember.
No? Yeah. He says fear is something that belongs to dance. Mm-hmm.
No, he says, well, I don't exactly know what you're referring to, but he says it's more difficult when it's about you. When it's you, when you're playing yourself in a way, because you're creating stories from your own experience, so it's more difficult in a way. So you have to have courage to expose yourself. But I think as an actor, even though you didn't write the story, you still have to expose yourself through the words of the script writer and director, if he's an author. So it's still the same game.
Yeah. You mentioned The Wall, and there's a collaboration with Anish Kapoor, the artist, in the set design. And of course, it's very symbolic and brings also, to my perception, to what happened to me, understanding the film, to another dimension. Is very political. It's not only about the relationship of two people, but there's also the dimension of difference, in many senses, two different gender, but two different colors, two different experiences, training, and religion, culture, and the wall is very powerful. How was the collaboration with Anish Kapoor and the idea behind?
With Anish, she came 2 times, I think, in Paris to see our rehearsals, and we talked to him about the idea of a wall or walls, and then very quickly draw something, just a simple wall, and we don't feel it in the film, but the wall was coming forward the audience, so it felt a little scary, and then it was pulling away. But he was part of it, but at the same time, he's very busy. So the color for the wall was a big question mark and issue.
And then all these adventures and the project, the show, turns into a film. But there is an extraordinary material. Did you think about making a film since the beginning or not? How does it happen that you ended up having this richness of material? I read in the credits you worked with your sister, no?
My sister, I asked her at the end of the tour to be filming the 7 last shows of our tour. So she agreed to do that, and she said, I don't want to put it together. I don't want to edit it. I said, don't worry, I'll do it one day. So 15 years after, I did it. But she filmed us also while rehearsing, and I knew there was a lot of footage. She's a director. She's been doing 2 films, one portrait that she did for Arte, and another one of Akram and myself working together, a half hour for Arte as well. And so she said to me there was a lot of footage she couldn't use, so I asked her if I could use her footage, and she agreed, and that was a big, wonderful possibility for me to understand also what we had been through. So making this film was also a sort of a homage to her work as well.
So when she filmed the show, at the end of the repetitions, there was already an idea of a film, because it's very extraordinary and difficult to try to portray this intimacy that is clear in all the rehearsal and the first part of the film. Then on a stage, to talk about this distance in between the two of you and the intimacy on the other side. I think that is beautifully filmed, and she's able to keep this closeness, even if she has to give this idea of the space as part of the concept of the spectacle. So, congratulations to Mario.
I will tell her. She knows.
Yeah, she knows. I heard, and I read that actually you also had an angel or the support or the insistence of Robert Redford, that I take the opportunity to remember here, has passed away recently still, to make this film.
Yeah, so I was at the end of the tour. We were in New York, and Robert Redford saw the show and came to my dressing room, and he said, you've got to make a film out of this. And I had the idea, but I didn't know how to handle it. So when we came back to Paris to do the last shows, I asked my sister to shoot the 7 last shows, and that's why today you can see it.
Wonderful. You worked with so many directors. I mentioned only few in the beginning. Do you feel more connected to certain experience, or you can share with us, some stories of working with somebody who could have also influenced your way of approaching the film here? I mean, is there somebody in your career more meaningful about your relationship with the camera? Because here you are directing a film.
Yeah, I mainly edited the film, and I was not behind the camera, I was in front of the camera, and then, behind an editing setup for many months. And I learned as I was going, but there's an intuition in going close or in following the movement or following the emotion or the confrontations, and it's really what I was discovering, and also I discovered the sound work, which I really loved so much, and I was not aware of, because as an actress you don't get a chance to see that. So suddenly being able to create with sounds, I found it just fascinating. It was my real big discovery.
In the post-production?
Yeah.
Because Marion Stollens made also the recording of the sound, no?
She did the recording of the sound, but we had to recreate the whole sound of the in-eye show because we couldn't use the music. So we had to do all the steps and the breathing and some of the dialogue as well. So there was a lot of work for the sound.
And so you still keep on working with Stephen Shepard, no? Who made the original score, Philip Shepard.
Yeah, he had composed the music.
Yeah, and then worked also in the post-production with you.
No, Philip didn't work in post-production with us.
And
he created the generic music, credit music, but the sound, I really worked with sound engineers and a mixer.
Yeah, fantastic. I don't know if somebody wanted to participate, and excuse my voice as that is going away more and more, but we can open any time the conversation with you if you desire, take the opportunity. Somebody can help me with the microphone here in the fourth line.
Bonsoir et félicitations pour le film d'abord. And what I would really like to know is how did you prepare physically for the role, because it looked quite challenging and you seemed very fit.
Not at the beginning, but I had Sue, my trainer. We worked every day together, and Akram was very patient. He had to let go of his stamina because I was slower, but we worked together for 6 months and continued as we were going through the touring. Because we played 120 times in different places around the world, so it was a long journey. But everybody can do it. I could do it. No, believe it. That's part of the miracle, is that we can change, we can transform. That's the amazement.
And besides these challenges in making the show, what was the biggest challenge in editing the film? Moments of desperation, or when did you feel lost? How did you?
I feel lost a lot of times, and then I think when I took shots of different scenes, then I could visualize my film. Before that, because it's moving all the time, I didn't visualize really. I couldn't really see the film until I could take pictures of different scenes and pictures of the different, the changes. Then it really helped me structure. Before that, a lot of times I was lost and not happy with myself.
There are some hands raised here.
Hello. Oh. Okay. Thank you very much for this beautiful experience. I only have one question about this read on the wall, because I thought it really nearly as painting with your bodies on the wall. Was it accident or was it planned from the beginning?
That's a good question. Actually, I said to Anish I wanted to paint on the wall, and he disliked the idea. So finally we decided, okay, we're gonna paint with our sweat on the wall. But Akram was sweating more than I did, so he had the chance to paint a little more. And but yeah, very early on we dismissed the idea of painting because it was going to be very complicated every night, to paint with all the painting or, splashing the audience with painting. So it went through my mind that was the idea. But actually, because of that improvisation I did, I roll on the wall that you see in the documentary. Akram had, just saw it and felt like it was something I could relate to. But I think I was not strong enough to dance by myself. I needed protection, and the wall was a protection. I could hold on to the wall. So that's probably why I went to the wall. But then after that, we made a scene out of it at the end, which is a sort of after reconciliation between our two characters. It's like finding ways to live together with a wall, with a third. And that was the idea.
You have mentioned choosing the color was a big issue. I'm curious why you finally choose red and blue.
No, it was not a big issue. It was just a lot of questions for Akram and Anish a lot. Because what kind of red do you use when you have to put other colors with the light designer? So there were more questions than big issues. I was just joking.
Bonsoir.
Where are you?
Sorry.
Okay.
Hope you guys can see me. Yeah. So, bonsoir. Yeah, so it's a pleasure to have you here. My heart is pounding just to know you're across the room. Yeah, but my question is, how was it representing this role, and how would you considering the plethora of different authors that you have on cinema and on that have also required different, maybe some different stands, and not only here that you also have dancing, but the feelings that arose. Thank you.
I'm not sure I understand the question. I'm sorry.
Sorry. So the question would be, how do you think that this role for you was different than others that you have in different roles, either by the dancing parts or by the feelings that it required for you doing it?
I think the need of making this show was to questioning myself about relationships and how do you reconcile after a big conflict, and how it starts, as Susan Batson is saying, the acting coach is saying, the need, go for your need. So my need as a 14 years old was very strong. It's a true story that I went to see Casanova of Fellini when I was 14, and I fell in love with the guy in front of me. Well, I couldn't see very, very well, but I think seeing the film and seeing this man and being, lifted by all this testosterone I could see in Casanova as a young girl, I just ran for love because it felt genuinely truthful to my heart and guts. And so we started with that story and continued and inventing scenes. The burst of love and needs. So what we call love, and how it evolves. It was a reflection, and the movement came out of a lot of improvisations, as well as Akram Khan, who did some choreography with some of the movements. So it's a combination of 6 works of work together.
Hello. Thank you so much for such a powerful work. I'm curious about what was the original story text and material that you dealt with, and how it evolved into this final choices of how you approach those texts. And I understand that during the process there's so much improvisation, devising. And what was the thing that you listened to the most? Was it in the moment when you're improvising in your body, or was it more growing between you and Akram, or just when do you know when the story is going to the right direction? Thank you so much.
I don't know where you are. Maybe I need my glasses. Oh, very far. Okay. We wrote a lot of text. Well, Akram wrote this big text that was I took really a small bit, but it was 20 minutes, a long text. And I wrote many shorter ones, but many different ones. And so we didn't know where it was going. I was just prolific. And they were worried. That's why Suman would say, what are you going to do with this text? She was worried that we were not going to use our bodies because she's a dancer herself. And so they were worried about it. And as we were going, a lot... I let Akram choose, actually, some of my texts, and as well as Susan was also said what she liked better. But the 3 texts you can hear were mine, and Akram wrote his, the one about the mullah. But as we were going, until the end, we worked. And afterwards, when we started touring, we continued to working on the... Not on the text so much, but on the show. Yeah,
go ahead. Good evening. On a personal note, I want to thank you that you came to Vienna. I'm so totally happy to see you in person after having seen you dancing that show 16 years ago. And now I have a question. It's how did that toilet scene come into the game? Because it's really so funny to see it nowadays.
So, how did it come about? Is that the question? Yeah, it was Susan Batson's idea. Actually, because we were thinking, what would be the scene, that brings us into this very angry state before the separation. And one morning she came and she was beaming and said, what's happening? And said, I have an idea. And that was the toilet thing. And we all laughed, of course, because that's so true. In our everyday basic life, women are so pissed off with men that they forget, the toilet thing. And so we thought it was a great idea. And so thank you, Susan.
Merci beaucoup for your movie. And I'm still in awe because I didn't expect to be so overwhelmed, because I came to see Susan Batson because we just worked in a course with her exercises, my colleague and I. And it feels like you tapped into the collective consciousness and just picked out what we all feel, sense in some kind of dimension when we go to sleep, or when we just don't have the balls to say something or to do something. Can you relate with this collective consciousness that you tapped into? And if so, because it feels like you didn't have to give permission to yourself to tap into it and to create this masterpiece and give it to us audience. So if you can relate to it, is there any kind of formula that you can share with us on how to give ourselves more permission to go out there and create and tap into this collective consciousness?
Yeah, I think, and that's what I learned with Susan Batson, is that you've got to be specific about a very personal area, and she calls it need. And I believe that. I think if what you need to tell to the world, or what you need as an artist, or wherever, the need of expressing something hidden or very personal, And so it becomes universal because everybody has a secret, something that, it helps the others to express what they have inside. So I think my need to understand relationships between a man and woman, or any relationships that has to do with intimacy, was very important to me at that moment when I was doing the show with Akram. There's no recipe. You just got to start with something very personal. That's what I believe, and be totally truthful to it. And that's why, in a way, this documentary, I wanted to spend the time of doing it. Because it's tangible, it's possible for everyone to be creative, I think. But you need time, you need to descend into yourself as well. There's a descending in you in order to lift it to an art form. And so it means work, it means the need of doing it, spending time.
So hello, here I am. Yeah. It's nice to have you here in Vienna. I've seen you last time in Sarajevo, on Sarajevo Film Festival. And as I know you like actress from the movies, and the movies which I really adored, English Patient, and this movie showed up in Sarajevo Film Festival with the Jude Law. And to be honest, I haven't been prepared for this movie tonight. I just seen that you are a director and that you are here, so I wanted to see it. And my question is, because maybe I didn't follow up from the beginning, like what was the idea and motive to be like actress in this kind of theater play, and to expose yourself to all of this, in general, idea of acting in this kind of play, and your relationship with Akram, if it's possible.
Well, it was a co-creation. We did, Akram and myself, and we were helped by Susan Batson and Suman Siu as well, because they were our outside, eyes, and it was very important, even though we had the camera. How do you create with thinking you're going to be moving, dancing, and he didn't know as well how he was going to act and what we were going to be doing. And that was the challenge of this show. So we didn't know as we were going. Nothing was pre-written at all. But I did before what? No, never. No, it was the first time. I did plays as an actress, I'm an actress. But I've never been in that situation. But I used my sister's footage. She shot for a film she was making. But a lot of the footage she didn't use, so I dare using hers. So that was the challenge. I feel I directed it, but at the same time I didn't really directed it. It's because I was in front of the camera, and it was live. It was we were in the middle of trying to find the show and didn't know how to get there. So it took us courage and patience and love and resistance and conflicts. We went through all the colors, but we were expressing it very differently. Yeah.
Thank you so much for this piece and film. I'm
Where
here
are
at the
you?
back, very back.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's so special to get an insight in the process and the journey, because we often, as an audience, choose or only get to see the final product. I wanted to ask, now that you're coming back to it many years later and editing the film, if there is sorry, there's so much echo, if there is the desire to make a second part or a new piece with Akram and the other artists.
I don't think with Akram we've done what we had to do together. And he's on another journey, and I am as well. So not exactly the same, for sure.
Hi, hello. Thank you very, very much for this amazing sharing of your human experience. And my question is, you go so deep into exploring yourself and yourself in relationships, and so does Akram. My question is, what did that do to the real relationship with him? Did you,
I think we learn. I think there was seduction to start with, but then I understood he had to go through that period of time as I had too. But then you learn to get going. So there was, for me, because I've been in the acting, so many times and falling in love so many times, I learned my lessons. You don't go further unless you really want to, but I didn't want to. And I think it would, so we learn to love each other. But you've got to through stages where, you have the feeling, it's right to have the feelings, but you let go because otherwise you would fall every single time and it's tiring, really. You don't need it. So we were good friends. And we speak to each other once in a while, but he's very busy and I am as well. Yeah. So we don't see each other that much.
Here means first.
Does it work? Merci beaucoup pour votre film. This is a honor to have you here. You told many times that your purpose was to explore the relationship. At the same time, you have other works, and for example, the beautiful, genius film, Les Enfants du Siècle, Children of the Century, where also the relationship are explored. And my question is, if you compare your experience with this film, Les Enfants du Siècle, and your personal film, where you also explored the relationship on other wise, what is the difference for you?
In a lot of films, I explored love and relationships, and it's part of being an actor, an actress, and so I've been going through many, many love stories. This film particularly is special because the man I was working with, I had a child with, so it's special in that way. But otherwise, I don't see really a comparison for with the In-Eye show.
So it's just the new stage and the new experience, completely new with this film.
Yeah, it was a new experience. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi, hello,
Again
over
from
here.
It's a very hot spot of questions here.
Thank you so much. I'm really still in awe with this whole movie, especially the creative process that we got to see here in so much detail, especially your facial expressions, how you're trying to tap into how you're feeling, your struggle throughout the process. That was really incredibly inspiring to see because we don't get to see that much of a glimpse into that process. But I'm so curious to learn because you go through different art forms, right? You're dancing, you're acting, and you're editing at the end. Did you have any discoveries about yourself? Like, were you surprised by yourself throughout the process? Did you discover anything new about how you are as a person, as an actress? Did any of the experiences throughout these different art forms teach you anything as to, okay, how can I be a different actress? Did I learn something new? Did I take away anything new about myself? So I would be very curious to learn a bit more about that. Thank you.
Thank you. I think it underlines something very important in a creating process, which is starting from the sensation. Any art form starts from a sensation. And for me, it confirmed that, because to find a link between dance and acting, I didn't know how it was going to be. And I don't think Akram had the solution of it. And I think Susan really helped us to underline where it needed to start. And I think when you start writing or when you start anything, you have to be in touch with the sensation in order to be truthful. So it's not fucked up by the head, by ideas. It's not, that there's something that is physical. That you lift your body into a place that is related to a memory of some kind. And that was really what struck me while I was creating the show, is that how do I get back to that place in me? That is, you cannot catch it. You have to let it happen in you. And that's more difficult because it's a place very much like acting. If you're trying to force acting, it doesn't work like that. So your tool, that it comes down, the information, like an emotion, comes down to you. But you have to allow it, and allowing it takes sometimes a long time, because you fucking yourself up many in different ways, But when you have this conduct clear, then acting is so easy. But you have to open up. You have to learn to open up, and it takes sometimes a while, and sometimes it's so obvious, in you. It depends of your sensibility, your awareness of what's going on. But I learned, it confirmed that. So whether I paint, whether I write a little bit, it's I know it's in this place.
Thank you, Juliette. Thank you very much. Thank you all.